Hey guys, welcome to beautiful Perth. We're at Quit Motorplex Kwinana Beach for round 3 of the BF Goodrich Drag Combat Championship Series.
Drag racing is on the rise. The long-awaited completion of a world-class facility at Sydney's Eastern Creek increased participation numbers, and now a brand new championship series for high-tech and import cars, Drag Combat.
Drag Combat has been on the tip of everyone's tongue for the last few years, in that the whole scene, the late model scene, really needed a drag racing forum, and Drag Combat is it.
Well, one of the great things about Drag Combat and also drag racing in general is that you can take your mother's car, your father's car or your street car to a racetrack and compete.
If it ain't a rotor, it ain't a motor.
Drag Combat 2004 is a 4-round series across 3 states, attracting an expected 250 starters. It promises to deliver a new era in Australian motorsport. They'll burn them up. Light them up. And smash them up.
Drag Combat has been put together for post-86 vehicles, late model and also high-tech, and it covers everything from pro race cars, which are late model Mazda RX-7s, right through to expert class, which is for post-86 only.
Welcome folks to the Quit Motorplex in Perth, Western Australia for round 3 of the BF Goodrich Drag Combat. Moreno Galotto on screen now in this awesome Lexus-powered turbocharged V8 up against a rotary. Joining me in commentary is Trent Nikolic. Trent, these cars, awesome high-tech machinery.
They are indeed, mate, and the biggest thing with these cars is the Lexus V8 engine's becoming extremely popular in late model drag racing circles, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes here today up against the rotary.
Well, if that car has any performance based on the way it sounds, it should run very hard indeed. They're a very affordable engine as well. Wheels in the air, big time for Glover. Carries the Datsun 1000 out to about the 150-foot mark before he puts them down. Galotto will run it through with an 884 at 242 kilometres an hour, but the story here is the wheel stand. Have a look at the Auto Salon magazine replay as he leaves the line, wheels in the air. He's got the left lock on as well, and forced to abort that run.
Terry Stacey in the 13B Mazda RX-7 up against yet another Lexus-powered dragster. This is driven by John Donor. So again, the Lexus V8 really getting off the line really very well. Oh, he got loose there too, just as he took off.
Right out of shape, making big horsepower, well over 1,500 horsepower from that PSI supercharged car. Rolls to a 952 at 138 kilometres an hour, so well off the car's true performance, and that thing has run 7 zeros at 185 miles per hour. On the replay, watch it went to the centre line, got out of shape, forced a button on and off the throttle, and the car just turning the tyres. I think as the day wears on, we get a few more race cars down the track, a bit more traction to be found.
It's a little bit skatey out there, isn't it? And again, yet another high-tech engine that's a favourite amongst drag racing fans, the SR20. Here we go. Yeah,
Jeremy Ball, who's made his way through junior drag racing circles. Problems for him. Looks like Farrell's going to get this one quite comfortably with the 1077. Let's find out, though, a little bit more about Jeremy Ball.
Jeremy, I understand drag racing started at a very young age for you. How old were you when you first started?
I started racing 12. I just stepped out of go-karts and I was racing junior dragsters at down Ravenswood, and finished up there when I was 17 and started racing dragsters in modified.
It's being quite a young competitor. How do you feel yourself up against the big guys?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty experienced because I've been in the sport a few years already, and I can still cut some pretty good reactions and get most of them, so some of them are pretty shocked when I come out there and beat them, so it's all right.
Okay, you've done so well so far. Where do you see yourself in the future?
We hope to just step the car up and be one of the fastest 4-cylinders in Australia, hopefully running mid-7s, low 7s, just keeping up there with the best of them, and hopefully look to win a few national trophies and stuff, so.
If If you think drag racing's all about boys in their fast cars, well, you're wrong. Next up, we have Mandy and Perth Performance. They're going to strut their stuff.
Well, knew a whole group of friends that owned really nice cars, and we always used to go cruising together, and we sort of formed and wanted to get more serious, so we became more formal, registered the club, and it's just grown from there.
I started off in another car club, and then I've moved across to get more involved in like motorsports and stuff. But I originally very first got involved in it through my brothers. I've got 3 big brothers, so I'm a girl. I didn't really do many girly things, so I took up racing, but now none of them even have cars, so I'm the only racer in the family.
Yeah, well, it is definitely male dominant, but no, it feels good. It feels good when you can get out there and do what the boys do, if not better.
You've got to get the right girls. You can't have girls that are half-hearted about it, otherwise then bitching and stuff happens. So
yeah, this is my new car. I've only had it for about 3 weeks now. Just pretty much came down here today just to see what it could do stock, and then yeah, I'll probably be back down here in a few months' time to see what it does after the modifications.
The WRX behind me, it's my baby.
Oh, I was really happy with my runs. I did my fastest time today, 15.5, sorry, and yeah, no, happy.
Today I've done really good. I've done 14.8, so I'm stoked with that, because last time I came down I was only running 15.1, 15.2, so I've chopped a couple of milliseconds off, so that's good.
Oh, definitely into motorsport. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Take it easy.
Back with the compulsory qualifying session now of Top Gun, and this is John and Vic Donis. These guys running a rather unusual combination for the power plant. Let's find out a little bit more.
Vic and John, how did you guys get started with it all?
Pretty much had a go-kart, someone says bring it down the strip, so we did, and it went from there. We ran it with a bike engine initially until we made so much power, we were the fastest sort of in Australia, and then we spent so much money trying to get gearboxes to work, we decided, well, we'll go for a V8 like everyone else, but apart from everyone else, we decided to go for at least a lot more technological V8 than a standard pushrod, you know, Holden or Ford or whatever. Really, realistically, the V8 engine that we've got, it's almost, you could say, a motorcycle V8. And that's basically why we chose it, because a motorcycle that we were running in before has got the same technology. We were able to get 1,500 horsepower out of a 4-litre engine, just as like we got 500 horsepower out of a 1.4-litre engine. Whereas to get that horsepower with a normal engine, you've got to spend 30, 40, maybe even 50, $60,000. We did it for half that amount with this engine, just with our own technology.
So I understand you packed the parachute?
Well, that's my only job they trust me with. Vic does all the spanner work and the rest of the crew, and they reckon if the chute don't open, then it's my problem, not theirs. So, but no, it's been good. Car's really good, and we were hoping to run a 6 today, but we don't know. Hope so.
So John had trouble getting the power to the ground on his earlier run. Trent, let's see what he can do on this pass.
Yeah, he left the line very, very well there, straight as an arrow, and this should be a pretty quick time. Oh, he got a little bit loose there. I spoke too soon, but it still should be a reasonably good time.
Yes, the car runs a 7.80 at 237 kilometres an hour, but darting all over the place. Whenever they put the foot down, the car turned the rear tyres. Have a look at the nose head for the centre line here. Gets off the throttle, then back on it towards the top end of the racetrack, and have a look at it dive out on the rear end of the car. Again, getting very, very loose, but a 7.80 is still pretty strong in this field.
A little bit skatey out there today, isn't it?
Yes, the cool damp air, of course, Kwinana Beach just over the horizon here, so you get a lot of the sea breeze blowing in, a little bit of sand from the beach, and can get a little bit slippery in the earlier conditions, but once a few cars head down the racetrack, traction will improve. Galotto versus Ball now. Ball with a red light. Now, this is a compulsory qualifying session. From here, the cars will be seated. Galotto's out of the groove, hits the centre line, and rolls through to an 8.59 at 204 kilometres an hour. But that pass, I would think, wouldn't count towards his final qualifying.
Galotto looks like he's got a lot of power in the bag there. He's not really using most of it as he comes down the track, but gee, it got out of shape there mid-track, didn't it?
Yes, you can see just hits the 1,000-foot reflector foams that record the time that the car reaches over the 1,000-foot mark. Here is Brett Glover up against Paul Martini. The 7.6 second, 170 miles per hour plus, so times it by 1.6, you're talking well over 280 kilometres an hour capability out of that dragster.
Yeah, and the dragster's running the older Nissan FJ20 engine as well, which is the older version of the SR20. Still very well favoured among drag races and still capable of producing a hell of a lot of horsepower.
Yes, especially when you bolt two Sprintex superchargers to the top of it. Also supercharged with the Sprintex is the Datsun 1000 of Glover, who got the wheels in the air. He's nice and straight this time and should put a pretty good time on the board. Runs it through with an 8.95 at 235 kilometres an hour. So Martini yet to put something strong on the board.
Here we are with Terry Stacey again, and he's really got a lot of power under the hood of that RX-7 as well, Nathan. It's a very, very popular car over here in WA.
Yes, national record holder for its class in RRSK and running in Top Gun here this weekend. Terry Stacey has had a big week getting this car back and ready on the racetrack. We caught up with him earlier on today.
Terry, tell us about your Mazda.
Basically, it's an RX-7 with twin-turbo 13B peripheral port with mechanical fuel injection, running about 38 to 40 pounds of boost. The quickest I've gone 793 at 171 mile an hour. It's got a Jericho gearbox, Ford 9-inch. What else? Runs on methanol.
How much effort goes into preparation for a day like today?
Well, I worked all week on it, fixing the gearbox from last week, and I pulled the motor out and had a look at the bearings in the motor to make sure they're okay. So it took me all week to get the car ready just to come down here today. So, and spend a few dollars on fixing up bits and pieces. So it's a time-consuming. It takes a lot of money up. Well, not a lot of time up. Money. I do a lot of stuff myself, so save costs on stuff like that. But time-wise, it was pretty well full on last week. So yeah, it takes a bit.
We're back now with Terry Stacey. He's staging, getting ready for his run, and let's see how the rotary goes down the track here.
Throws the flames out as he brings the revs up on the start line. The car seems to nose over just a little bit there, and he's buttoned this one off. We'll roll it through. He has been having difficulty getting the power down to the racetrack, and 11.80 at only 126 kilometres an hour is not what that car's capable of. More from Top Gun later. Time now for the expert classes here for BF Goodrich Drag Combat, and this is all-wheel drive 6, so as you'd imagine, made up pretty heavily by GTRs, and we've got Jade Fisher up against Nathan Webb. Must be a good bloke.
Yeah, with a name like Nathan, mate, you couldn't blame him, could you? And definitely this is what the crowd wants to see, street cars out there on the drag strip.
Of course, GTRs can make big horsepower, and they've got that great four-wheel drive to get it down to the racetrack. Looks like Fisher's going to get there comfortably with an 11.55 at 126 kilometres an hour. Sharon Thomas now up against Steve Thomas. We're not sure on the relationship between them, but you think there must be some sort of tie because both of them with R32 GTRs.
The 32 is definitely the favoured version of the Skyline for drag races, Nathan. Slightly lighter than the later series and definitely very popular on the drag strip.
Now, possibly you can explain this for me, Trent. How come, being all-wheel drive, they were able to do rear-wheel burnouts?
The 32 has the possibility to turn off the front-wheel drive section of the drive train so that you can have the power going only to the rear tyres, which they use to light them up for the burnout.
And makes it a lot of fun when you want to get the tail out. Let's see who is the quicker of the two cars. We've got Sharon Thomas near a screen, Steve Thomas far a screen, and the silver GTR has the edge and will go through to the next round of racing. Stops the clocks with a 10.74, so it's a very quick GTR as well, 139 kilometres an hour. Ryan Ashby now in this R33 Skyline up against one of the older ones. This is rear-wheel drive six-cylinder. Sean Williams in beside him.
Sean's in the older version R31 Skyline, and this will be very interesting to see because the 33 Skyline's a very popular car as well. This is in rear-wheel drive guys, of course.
So, of course, we would assume that the R33 would be a GTS, being rear-wheel drive. Both of these cars capable of making some good horsepower and running well into the, I'd say, 12 or 11 second zone. The R31 has the edge at this stage. Well, I wouldn't have picked that one. Williams looks like he's going to go all the way.
R33 was very sluggish off the line. He didn't get away cleanly at all.
Yes, so Williams goes through with a 14.10 at 138 kilometres an hour to make his way to the final. Sean Tippett now up against, in the Nissan Skyline, another R32, in beside a Nissan 180SX.
Should be very interesting to see. Oh, the 180SX has got a Sylvia front end on it, otherwise known as a Sil 80, so it's more of a drift machine, but it'll be good to see how it goes down the quarter mile.
Yes, so both of the problems for the Sylvia in the far lane. The R32 a little bit out of shape, but looks like Tippett again with the ability to get the power to the ground and will make it through to the final. 11.79, 155 kilometres an hour. That is a quick car.
Very quick indeed as we watch Jamie Busen warm up the little Subaru Brumby, and these are another favourite with the crowd. A lot of them recipient of WRX engine transplants, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
Yes, still with our expert classes for the BF Goodrich Drag Combat, this time all-wheel drive for, so obviously that means 4 cylinders and all-wheel drive, and the Brumby fits right into that category, gets a solo pass into the final, and we'll stop the clock with a 12.99, 167 kilometres per hour, so very quick Brumby indeed.
Leon Chandra's here in his WRX STI, again all-wheel drive 4, and the WRX again one of the most popular cars in this class for sure.
And it's great to see the lady racers out there, and it's Claire Scambler in the WRX. She actually is a sales rep and uses that car to travel around. She's not going to be travelling much further elimination-wise though. Leon in this very tough-sounding STI will make it through to the final, a 12.78. 176 kilometres an hour. So again, some very, very tough cars here now as we move into rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder.
Roy Robinson lighting up the tyres on his Sylvia, and that's something that car looks like it's accustomed to doing, given that it's set up for drift. And very interesting to see how this car will travel, because the drift setup is obviously very different to what's required for drag racing.
Yes, so in beside a, looks like a Nissan 200 SX it is, yes, of Jeff Ash, and another obviously rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder. Are you able to tell just by looking at the car that it's set up for drift?
You can tell a little bit by the body kit and the type of wheels that the car's running. Jeff Ash again in the blue Y Sports car. He's another very well-known entity in drift racing circles around here, Jeff. But it looks like the Sylvia, the older version's gotten away to a really good start, and it's carrying it through.
So Robinson gets there, 11.60, 190 kilometres an hour. Might be set up for drifting, but it's very quick indeed. And Ash, who had problems immediately off the start line, will roll that through and put it on the trailer. Become a spectator as we see Simon Gemst now in the Nissan 200.
Yeah, this is another older version of the Sylvia platform, S13. Very, very well renowned among drag racing and drift racing, both here overseas, and he's going up against a Mazda Capella here.
Yes, so the Capella very quick of Zane Cummings. This car very, very quick indeed. Older body styling, but still has all the technology under the bonnet with the big horsepower that they're managing to get out of that engine. Looks like Cummings with the advantage as they go past the first camera and is extending that all the way to the finishing line. This is a very quick car indeed, 11.72 at 198 kilometres an hour, just shy of the magic 200 mark.
Did very, very well there, Cumming, as we watch Clinton Brown come in. This is front-wheel drive 4-cylinder. Nissan Pulsar, again, a very popular type of car for this sort of event, up against a Mitsubishi Lancer, another very common car on the streets.
Yes, this is Dial Your Own, still in the expert category, but you can see the numbers on the windows, a 1390 and I think it was a 16-something, so you can see differences on the start line. It has to be brown in the Pulsar to chase down the Mitsubishi, and we've got a red light on our hands, so it looks like a pretty easy run there for Bennett. He will make it through into the final, so Brown throws it away on the start line and wastes a 14.3. So a 16.45 is the win and makes his way into the final.
We're here now with Subki Bustari in the Honda Integra Type R, very popular amongst the front-wheel drive fans and very, very popular on the drag strip as well.
Yes, and he gets a solo pass. Must be a pretty quick Integra. Look at the dial-in on the window of a 14.09. Being a solo pass, he has a chance to test that dial-in. If he goes quicker, then he can adjust it for the next round of racing. When he meets in the final, a 14.24 at 160 kilometres an hour, I'd say he'll be leaving it where it is.
Time now for street bikes, and Lindsay van der Meer is going to warm up the Yamaha R1, a very, very popular bike and extremely fast out of the box too.
Yes, up against David Gasek, and Lindsay with his son Cruz on the hill watching his dad on his brand new motorcycle. He's only had it for a couple of weeks, and in his first session today got on the back wheel pretty convincingly. Wasn't quick enough for the win, but looked pretty spectacular, and the Honda was one up in the earlier rounds of elimination. Street bike category here at Drag Combat, with thanks to BF Goodrich, is pretty unique to this. It's for late model bikes and of course incorporates all that high-tech stuff that goes with Drag Combat.
The Honda Blackbird's more of a super touring bike. It's an 1100cc engine, so it'll be interesting to see if they both get an equal start. The R1's gotten off the line, and once again he's lifted the front wheel in the air, and again
struggling to keep the front wheel on the ground with all that power. He's thrown it away on the start line, however, with a red light, so it will be the Honda to get the win.
This is Dial Your Own, and once again we've got a Mazda RX-7 coming up against a Datsun 1600, so slightly different machinery, but they'll both get down the track in a similar sort of vein. We've got a 1420 dial in for the RX-7, so it should be a very close race.
Yes, Smith versus Farrads, and obviously the Datsun, the quicker of the two cars, 1140 up against a 1420, so you'll get to see the white RX-7 will leave the start line first, then the Datsun 1600 will chase them down. We'll chase the Mazda down at least. There it goes. Watch for the Datsun. Gets away clean, but a shocker of a reaction time. Absolutely threw it away on the start line. You really have to get good reaction times if you've got any chance of winning in drag racing, and it's not going to happen this time. Will we see a breakout? No. Safe by 2/100ths of a second. A 1442 will see him into the final.
Tim Gunn here doing a nice burnout in his Datsun 1200 Ute, once again in Dial Your Own. And the old 1200 Ute's been around for a few years, and once again a very, very popular car for drag racing.
Yes, lightweight. You can make big horsepower, put turbocharger. You can see the big intercooler in the front of that car, and this one very quick indeed with an 1150. He'll be making his way into the final with this solo pass. Let's see what he runs to on that 1150. 1180, 102 kilometres an hour. Ford versus Holden time now, and we've got a different combination, both of them Utes though, but we've got a turboed six-cylinder and a good old-fashioned V8 in the far lane. Hollister versus Munro.
Munro driving all the way across from South Australia, and he's going to do his runs here today and then get back in the car and drive back to South Australia. So let's hope he gives the crowd some enjoyment here.
Fantastic to see him making the commitment to come, 3,000 kilometres from Adelaide across the Nullarbor to run here with BF Goodrich Drag Combat at the Quit Motorplex. Looking for Hollister to move the utility into stage, the Pyro as he's known. Munro throws it away with a red light on the start line, so Hollister gets the advantage and will get the win as these two make their way towards the final. Let's see what they run elapsed time-wise though. Munro, the quicker of the two cars, 1292 to a 1296, 175 kilometres an hour. Round one winner of Drag Combat was Sydney RX-7 racer Joe Signorelli. His exploits over the past decade have been at the very vanguard of the drag racing scene in Australia. But in 2004, Joe made the big leap and purchased the former world record holding ex-Abel Ibarra RX-7 from the USA.
How I met Abel through phone calls. I was just buying some parts and that off him, and during that kind of phone conversations and that, we got to get real close, and I was telling him about my RX-7, and he was always talking about his RX-7, and I went over there a couple of times and seen him race, and I was actually pit crewing for him for one event and seen the way the car worked, and it was actually mind-blowing because of the car just hooked up so good, went so straight, and I thought, geez, that's what we need here, you know, to run the times we have to run. And when I came back, we actually put more power into my car, and it was just losing traction because of the technology of chassis they got over there is just a bit different. So it was about 6 months down the track. Abel gave me a ring and told me he's selling his car because his new RX-8 he's building is nearly finished, and he actually wanted to sell it to me. So I snapped it up and we bought it, and from there, that's what I've got now. So I've got one of the fastest. When he sold to me, it was the fastest RX-7 in history. Yeah. Well, the difference between the old car and the new car is the old car is a 3/4 chassis, the new one's a full chassis. This 3/4 means it's only up to the engine bay, which means it's 3/4 chassis. So the rest from the engine bay back is tube. Engine bay is still original. With full tube, the whole car is tubed, and it's basically got a fiberglass or carbon fibre front, body and back. Well, to build a car like that in Australia would just take you too long. You're looking probably 6 to 8 months of building, and it's just time you ain't got, so that's why we've bought this car from the States. Being a full chassis, the new car, it just gives us heaps more spoke to run, so we can adjust more things, go quicker, put more traction to the ground, and go heaps faster. Left-hand drive, and you've got to use your right hand to change gears, so it is a bit different, but You know, first time down the track I ran a 7.7 with it, so it didn't really take much to get used to. There's a lot of ideas for the old car, but the new one has improved by, you know, just little bits and pieces like different injection, different position of turbos, air intake, just little things. But the actual block itself, yeah, that is the same one. Yeah, the new car's got a pointier front end, a bit longer, which aerodynamic is spot on. It's been through a wind tunnel, so it's made to suit 300 plus Ks. I've been working with rotary engines for about 12 years now, and I just love working with rotaries because it's like a passion for me. So that's why we're actually going so big, because it's like a hobby for me. So that's what I really love doing. Good thing with a rotary is the RPM. You know, it's an engine that can hold RPM. So for drag racing, you really need the RPM to run the mile an hour. So a rotary is very good for the RPM and horsepower. I'm running 189 mile an hour in my new car. We're revving it to 9,000 at the moment, but we are trying to take it up to 10, which would get up to 190 plus mile an hour. We've got heaps more power into it, but we haven't unleashed it all yet because we're just playing with a few air temps and turbochargers just to see. So we want to get our half track right, and from there we'll just work on the top end, which we've got a half track right now.
What sort of power are you making approximately?
It's approximately about 1,100 horsepower.
Joe's business, Rotomaster, has seen the benefits of his success on track.
The business is going pretty good because of the passion we've put into the actual work and development of the car. We generate to help in with the customer cars. So everything we learn on the track gets generated to the customers, and my experience helps out for our customers, and that's why my business has grown, because all our experience goes to the customers, and you know, we're not doing experiment work on customers. I do all the experiment and they get the full finished product. Yeah, the type of cars we work on we try and work on the late model cars like the Series 6s, the ones I race. We actually work on the new RX-8. We've actually turbocharged the new RX-8. The older type RX-3s, we still love doing them, and any sort of rotaries we love doing.
Joe began his quarter-mile career in a tough R100, but soon found he was reaching the limit of the car's capability.
Yeah, we had to go to Series 6 because the R100 was getting a bit too scary. You know, the wheelbase was too short, it was a bit out of shape, so we've gone a bigger wheelbase and, you know, a more aerodynamic car.
Joe's win in round one sets him up for a shot at the championship at the final in Sydney. But he wants more than the win.
Well, we're happy with it that day because basically to win you just got to, you know, pull the numbers you need to win. So we won that event and that was good enough for us. But for the final combat, we'll try and run heaps quicker and, you know, and see what we can do. You don't win by just one hit runners. You got to keep on running the times.
Drag Combat has experienced huge growth in its short existence, which Joe attributes to the modern nature of the vehicles.
Well, it's all high-tech stuff, and all the younger guys are into the high-tech, into the computers, you know, the laptops and all that kind of stuff. So we tune our car with a laptop. Old days, you tune it with pills and, you know, and jet sizes. But, you know, the new age guy don't want to use pills and jet sizes. They want to use laptops and see what a laptop can do. That's why it's exciting for the young guys to understand this kind of racing. That's it, yeah, you can take any car you want and go down there and race and tinkle with it and make it go quicker and quicker. That's the enjoyment of racing. You know, I've been racing a few events for a long time and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year.
The K&N RX-7 has run a 6.95 second pass, but Joe has grander plans.
Yeah, my goal with the new car is actually beat the time Abel put on that car, and not only just beat that, smash his new car. Yeah, Abel's new cars ran 685 at 192 mile an hour, I think it was, but mate, we're out there to smash that. Actually, the drag strips around Australia have nicknamed me Smoking Joe Signorelli, and I've actually asked one of the officials, why have you named you that? And they said to me, not because of your burnouts, because you smoke every one you race. And I thought, oh yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, I like that. So, without the support of my family and my friends and actually me work colleagues, I probably wouldn't have got as high as I am.
For Joe, the future is simple.
Just to be #1 in the world.
Stay with us from round 3 of the BF Goodrich Drag Combat. There's plenty more tyre smoking action still to come.
This update brought to you by TUI's new What Mates Do.
Tonight on the late edition of Fox Sports News, Mark O'Neill's plans to get back on the field for the West Tigers after recovering from being king hit. The AFL launches Heritage Week around the nation. The Wallabies wary of past dirty tactics by the Springboks, and the prize every Australian athlete heading to Athens is looking to bring home. Details on Fox Sports News at 10:30 Eastern.
Have you experienced the revolution? The revolution that's launched satellites, created the most advanced technology in Australia, but doesn't require a new television. The revolution in how you find your way around and make plans so you'll never miss your favourite show again. The revolution in how Australia views the world, giving you the choice of 8 live news feeds and access to news faster than you ever thought possible.
Can you see my vision of a red-hot revolution?
The revolution where you call the shots, where you always know the score and can see your favourite sport from a whole new perspective. The revolution that's put Hollywood at your fingertips, not up the road, where the only interruption is your mates. The revolution that's music to your ears, a blast for your brain, and an indulgence of the senses with stunning widescreen and awesome digital sound.
Can you see my vision of a red-hot revolution?
The revolution in how we watch those moments that make us laugh, cry, and take our breath away. A revolution in control. A revolution in convenience. A revolution in choice. Make the move to digital.
Motorsport on Fox Sports. We'll put you in pole position.
Hi, you're watching Drag Combat on Fox Sports.
Welcome back to the Quip Motorplex as we get ready to go elimination style for the top gun here for the BF Goodrich Drag Combat Round 3 of the championship at the awesome Quip Motorplex. John Donis and Jeremy Ball. Trent, this should be a great matchup.
Very interesting race, this one. Lexus V8 up against Nissan SR20 DET single turbo, so it should be very interesting to see how these guys get down the track.
Of course, this is dial your own racing where the drivers nominate a time which they think their car should run close to. And I would suggest that Jeremy Ball would get the advantage off the start line with the supercharged Lexus to chase him down. A lot of people, as Trent was saying, going to the Lexus V8. It is a very strong high-tech engine, quad cam, 4 litres and has a 6-bolt main and bottom end, which basically means it's bulletproof when you pump big horsepower through it.
Absolutely, these engines don't break, and they're great for drag racing. And away again, but
Ball gets the jump. Here comes Donis to chase him down. He's got him by half track and will get this one comfortably. Donis with the win, 7.90, 202 Ks. Glover's up next. We caught up with him earlier.
Okay, so Brett, tell us about this Datsun.
Well, we've got a Datsun 1000. It's a 13B rotary, runs supercharged, which is a little bit different. We've also made our own Apex seals, which we are trying out at the moment, having a lot of success with that, and has made our racing a lot of fun. Well, basically being supercharged, you know, most rotaries are turbocharged, and you know, being supercharged makes it a lot different from the rest. And like I say, you know, being with our own Apex seals, we're being able to test a lot more and do things without doing engine damage, and are getting the results.
we're back again now with Glover going up against Ball, and they've both dialed in with an 8.90, Nathan.
Yes, so that means that neither will get an advantage off the start line here, both of them to leave at the same time. There is Terry Stacey in that pretty awesome rotary-powered RX-7. Of course, both of them with the rotors as motors, but one with a supercharger, another with a turbocharger. Different way about going for the forced induction, both of them making plenty of horsepower. We're starting to build up as the lights come down. Wheels in the air again for Glover, the car bouncing all over the shop. He's got to run close to that 8.90. Of course, if you go too quick and dial your own, you break out. And that's exactly what he does. 8.85 is too quick by 5/100ths of a second. Stacey will get the win even though he rolled to a 10.8.
Gee, Glover likes launching those wheels into the air off the line, doesn't he?
Here is this awesome tyre-smoking Chimera of Moreno Galotto. These guys due to build a Lexus Sora with a top door slammer style chassis later on. Up against Paul Martini, this car, plenty of horsepower, has run 760s. Let's have a talk to Paul about this awesome vehicle.
Okay, Paul, I understand this dragster is locally built.
Thanks, Giovanna. Yes, it is. It's totally designed and built here in Perth by Ian Jenkins, Jenkins Performance Products. The original concept was for it to be a 3/4 scale top alcohol dragster using similar fuel system technology and supercharger technology that the top alcohol cars use, but sitting on top of an inline 4-cylinder rather than a very large cube V8. It has advantages in weight, obviously, because the car is very light with only the 4-cylinder on that. So we've been able to get it to turn some good times considering the size of the engine. It's only 123 cubic inches or 2 litres. So our best is 7.63 seconds at 280 kilometres an hour with only 123 cubic inches. So it's been good. I suppose one of the differences with our engine is that we use superchargers rather than turbochargers. Most small capacity engines, rotaries and 4-cylinders tend to use the turbochargers, whereas we run 2 Sprintex S102 compressor style superchargers. I guess we were more used to the superchargers running with John Buchanan's alcohol car in the old days, and just grew up working with them and that, and we've found that we were able to get the car to make a bit more power off the line. Turbochargers have a little bit of trouble making instant power off the line, although turbos, with the size of the turbochargers and intercooling systems that they run these days, they make very large amounts of horsepower. So we're still about there. We're making similar horsepower, but mechanically driven rather than the turbocharger, which is pretty common these days to use the turbos.
We're back now with Martini, who's dialed in at an 8.20, and Galotto, who's dialed in at an 8.50. So this will be a very close heads-up race again too.
Yes, Martini been off the drag racing scene for a long time. As a matter of fact, broke a gearbox on his first pass, so they're really behind the 8 ball. An 8.20 is right off this car's performance, but what you'll see is that Galotto will get the advantage off the start line, then the dragster to chase him down. Galotto was the number 2 qualifier with an 8.11, so his 8.50 dial-in gives him a little bit up his sleeve to roll off the throttle if it looks like he's got a big advantage out in front.
We've seen Galotto get off the line really, really well all day today, so let's see how he goes here in this important race.
Yes, plenty of horsepower. Can he get it down to the racetrack? He leaves with a clean green, but problems again for Martini. That dragster left idle on the start line. Galotto's got this in the bag, bar a breakout, and that's what he does. Too quick by 1/100th of a second. The win goes to Martini. Well, when you talk high-tech and you talk the later model gear, this bike certainly comes to mind. And also another question comes to mind, and that's why. a 12A supercharged rotary-powered motorcycle of Anthony Wood on a bit of an exhibition run, and he certainly loves to put on a burnout. Check that out, Trent.
That's an enormous burnout. It looks, I saw some flames coming out from underneath the bike there too, Nathan.
Yeah, flash of flame, and you can see the crew running over to the bike, and an official in the background struggling with an extinguisher. Up against Phil Davis in a more standardised motorcycle, a Kawasaki in the far lane. But yeah, I think problems unfortunately for Wood here. Yes, he's going to remove the helmet, so a little bit of flash of flame probably backfired through the supercharger. And unfortunately, we're not going to see that bike go down the racetrack on this pass at least. Official just still concerned about fire, and yes, just gives it a burst on the extinguisher, so he is out. At least for this run, we will see this bike back a little bit later on. That gives a solo pass for Davis now, who should run this thing through pretty comfortably. Very quick bike, normally runs in competition bike, a little bit out of the groove, nearly falls off the bike. Now he keeps it straight and will stop the clock with a 9.65 at 138 kilometres per hour. Well, as a bit of a treat for the fans, the losers of the Top Gun elimination rounds have come out for a little bit of testing, and Brett Glover, who went too quick in eliminations, broke out, has decided to bring the supercharged 13B back for another pass down the quarter mile.
It's not often that too quick's a bad thing in drag racing, is it, Nathan?
No, but it's about consistency and making sure that you know just how well your car can run. I think it's a fantastic initiative, this Drag Combat by the Cabin Group, to get these high-tech import and highly technological race cars down a quarter mile. 8.86 is what he ran pretty close to in his previous round, 240 kilometres an hour. Here's another man who went too quick.
Galotto again out there in that Lexus V8, and everybody loves seeing this car due to the high-tech nature of the engine, so it'll be great for him to give a bit of value back to the crowd with this run here.
Twin supercharged, massive burnout from the 4-litre quad-cam V8 under the bonnet of this car. And as I said before, they're building a top door slammer style full chassis car that they will put a Lexus Sora body over the top of it, which will certainly match the engine underneath it a little bit better.
Very unlikely looking drag car, the Chimera, but it's great to see it getting down the quarter mile going really quickly.
No shortage of horsepower, and of course with those turbos it continues to make power as it loads up and heads down the racetrack. Right for the centre line again. Galotto struggling to get that power down to the racetrack, and keeps it off the centre line, and will run it through with a 9.17 speed, down a little bit as the car got pretty loose. Let's take a look at the Auto Salon magazine replay here, and he got right out of the groove, headed right for the centre line, but managed to keep it all together and run it through with a 9.1. Time to get into the first of our finals now, this time for Dial Your Own, and it's old school versus new school. Tim Gunn in the Datsun 1200 up against the RX-7 of Farad. So both of these guys have an equal opportunity to win, being Dial Your Own.
This is when it gets very serious, Nathan. It's time for the finals, and people will be coming out and putting their absolute best into this run to see how they go. So this should be a very, very close run. These guys have been close all day, so let's see how they go tonight in the final.
Rotary versus piston power. I would assume both of them turbocharged. And obviously the Ute quicker. Oh, what's happened there? Tim Gunn has thought this is heads-up racing and has left as soon as the green has come up for the RX-7 and just handed the win straight over to Sean. Both of the guys seem to be a little bit confused about what's going on here, just rolling off the throttle. But I'm sorry, Tim, you're on the trailer. Farad gets the win with a 15.82 at only 77 kilometres an hour.
Congratulations, Sean. You must be ecstatic.
Yeah, I am. It's the first time I've ever raced and I won, so I'm very happy.
So you don't think it's beginner's luck?
No, I'd say skill. No, I don't know. Beginner's luck, I'd say, yeah.
Time now for the final of the street bikes, and Vandermeer very serious, doing a fully sick burnout over there in the far lane.
Frying most of the tyre on that R1. He's left a lot of smoke behind the line, and he looks like he's ready to go here for the final.
Yes, these guys have been racing side by side all night, and it's now down to a bit of pride to see who will go home the victor. And Vandermeer with the more horsepower, I would assume, on the new R1. He's taken the pipe off and running it straight out the exhaust, up against Gasick in the Honda CBR, who got the advantage off the start line, but here comes the R1.
You could see off the start line there that Vandermeer really tried to keep the front end down too, didn't he?
Vandermeer gets the win. Congratulations.
No, it was really tough. I just changed bikes about 3 weeks ago, so trying to get used to getting off the line. It was a bit of a mission, so yeah, hopefully get used to it and go better.
We're back now with Anthony Wood as he does a nice big burnout and gets himself ready for his run.
Yes, had a little bit of a fire on board with the 12A rotary-powered motorcycle, but it's good to see he got it back together and out here up against Davis. We caught up with Wood earlier on to find out a little bit more about this bike.
Okay, Tony, tell us all about your bike behind us.
Supercharged 12A rotary, runs on methanol, 3-speed automatic gearbox, 11.5-inch rear tyre, billet front wheel, and all chromoly chassis.
Tony Wood's ready now and he's going into stage. Let's see how he goes. Let's hope this 12A powered bike can get down the track in one piece.
Yes, just looking over his shoulder for Phil Davis, who doesn't appear to be there, so it looks like it's going to be a solo pass for Tony Wood this time. We had a 9.65 from Davis in the earlier run. Let's see if Wood can do any better. The bike a little bit lazy off the start line, but I'd say when the revs start to bring up, it's got a 3-speed gearbox, would you believe, and really hanging onto it through the top end. Runs a 10.07 at 141.
Holden versus Ford final time, and once again Michael Hollister in the V8 Ute up against John Munro in the XR6 Turbo Ford.
So can John Munro make something of this massive drive that he had, and of course the massive drive he's got ahead of him when he returns to South Australia? I'm sure he would like to leave here the winner.
Munro comes into stage and we're just waiting on Hollister to line up the Commodore.
Hollister, who is building a new engine for this utility, didn't want to bring the car out and race it, but decided to come to Drag Combat thanks to BF Goodrich, and has done a great job all the way into the final. Munro has the advantage, but has thrown it away on the start line with a red light, would you believe? Hollister a long way back, but will get the win with a 13.34.
Well, he changed his dialing, which I was a bit surprised, so he actually left before me, and I thought he was going to leave after me. And I could see he was a long way ahead, so I knew he was having a good run, and as it turned out, he did actually break out. So I backed off, making sure I didn't break out, and he just pushed it too hard. So bad luck to him, and no good luck for the night.
Drag Combat is not just about racing. It's an opportunity for clubs to get out, show their cars and socialise. Being part of a car club is like having an extended family. And for the boys from Club Unknown, that's what it's all about.
It's all Indonesian boys, living in Perth, obviously. We have about 12 cars now. We've been here about 2 years.
Been involving in Auto Saloon every show.
Every year?
Yeah, every year. And apparently this year we won the best club again. And I think this is most of the guys like maybe going home for good by the end of this year. So
this is our farewell year.
Yeah, farewell, yeah. So we're having a good time at the Drag Combat now. We bring even the European cars, slow, fast, it doesn't matter. We're just having fun today. Basically, like almost every day we hang around, like every day, every time, day and night, like dinner together. Like it's just like normal lifestyle for us. Like we've been like friends, not only as a car club, but we're good friends too.
We consider ourselves as a family rather than a club, so consider ourselves brothers.
Finals in expert class now, and this is front-wheel drive 4-cylinder as we watch Subi Bustari warm up his Honda Integra Type R. Once again, he had a good run earlier in the day, and once again he's up against Bradley Bennett in the Mitsubishi Lancer.
Pair of blue front-wheel drive coupes. They look super tough, and they run pretty hard as well. A 14.09 for the Integra makes it a pretty quick car, and I'd say it's certainly not straight off the factory floor. Just waiting for Bennett to bring the Mitsubishi into stage, which he has done so. The advantage to go to the Mitsubishi on the far side of your screen. Now Bustari to chase him down. Both of them getting off the start line with a clean pair of greens after a couple of red lights we've seen in the final so far. But I think the Integra may have a little bit of a problem. Here it comes now with the top-end charge. The Lancer, is he going to get there? Just 16.58 for the win, 120 kilometres per hour.
Yeah, thank you. I was pretty lucky to get through to the final because I had some pretty horror runs, but fortunately the guys I was up against red lighted, so I got through. Don't know how, but I got there, and in the end of the night I come through in front. So
still with the expert classes now. It's time for the rear-wheel drive 4.
Roy Robinson in the Nissan Silvia, rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder, obviously up against the Mazda Capella again, and yet another mix of old school versus new school.
Not sure about the name Silvia. I don't know if it's a really tough name for a car that fast. Zane Cumming in the rear-wheel drive Mazda. Old school versus new school once again. We've got the later model body for the Silvia up against the older outside technology of the Capella, but it's a very quick car. Of course, this is the final in the expert class. It's a heads-up race. The Sylvia gets out hard. The Capella, I think, is the quicker of the two cars, but I think Robinson's got the edge on him.
Robinson's leading away here, but watch the Capella come on at half track, and he's away. He's going to take the win here, I think.
Top-end charge, 11.38 for the win. Look at that speed, 1.99.
Congratulations, Zane. You must be happy.
Yeah, mate, I'm really stoked about the time. It's good to get out here and have a skid.
Final of all-wheel drive four-cylinder. Jamie Busen again in the little Subaru Brumby. He's up there against Leon Chandra in the WRX STI, and this should be a very close final. Both Subarus, but vastly different age groups.
Yes, and Leon racing for the pride of Club Unknown, a very strong Perth car club over here. Looks like he's going to get there as well with the Brumby. With major issues off the start line, Chandra, this car sounds awesome and runs quick as well. He gets the win. 12.94, 163 kilometres an hour. He's the winner of all-wheel drive 4 here at the BF Goodrich Drag Combat.
Congratulations, Leon, on your win tonight. You must be ecstatic.
Yep, I'll feel very happy. I reckon my car is quite lucky today to win this title. Because the other cars has just broken down. I think it's just lucky.
Final now of rear-wheel drive 6. Big horsepower put to the ground through the rear tyres only. And it's a pair of Sean's, Sean Tippett and Sean Williams.
R32 Skyline up against R31 Skyline. Again, slightly newer technology up against slightly older technology. Sean Williams is coming into stage now, and we're ready to go. Let's watch for the green light as these cars leave the line.
Oh, Williams throws it away with the red light. I think of the 5 finals we've had, around about 3 of them have had red lights. So obviously nerves starting to get to the guys a little bit. Tippett will get the win. He looks like he would have got there anyway first. 12.01, 120 kilometres an hour, the winner of rear-wheel drive 6.
A little bit slippery, but yeah, the other bloke red lit anyway, so it was a bit of a gimme in the end. So yeah, it's all good.
We're going to see you in the future.
I hope so.
Final again here in all-wheel drive 6, and Nissan GTR R32 Skyline up against Nissan GTR R33 Skyline. So again, slightly older version of the vehicle up against a slightly newer version of the vehicle, but very, very closely matched cars.
Yes, and as you were saying, Trent, people tend to favour the R32 for drag racing due to its lightweight. I think one of the big bonuses is being able to turn off four-wheel drive for burnouts. That's pretty awesome stuff.
Crowd absolutely love that sort of action. That's what they come here for.
Wait for the R33 to make his way into stage, taking his time, trying to psych him out a little bit. Being expert class, once again, it's a heads up. The R33 with the advantage off the start line, and it looks like he's going to carry that all the way down.
Absolutely left the line like a bullet, but the 32's coming home with a wet sail, and he's going to take it out there at 11.03.
141 for the win.
Congratulations on your win tonight. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was pretty good today. Blew second gear out of the gearbox, went home, put a new gearbox in, come back. All worked out well.
BF Goodrich bring you the Drag Combat Top Gun final here at the Quip Motorplex, and it comes down to the 2 guys that have been pretty consistent, Terry Stacey and John Donis. Completely different cars, but these guys have made it all the way to the final.
Terry Stacey's a real crowd favourite out here, and everybody loves the rotary-powered drag cars, so this should be a very, very interesting final, Nathan.
And what's interesting about it is there really seems to be 2 factions in drag racing, those that love the V8s or the piston-powered cars, and those that love the rotors. And it's great to see 2 different types of vehicles in the final. As I said, a great initiative by the Cabin Group to create the Drag Combat Series with thanks to BF Goodrich. It really gets these high-tech cars out in front of the people.
And the people love watching it, mate. They absolutely love it. And this rotary should be very, very interesting to see how Terry goes up against this high-powered dragster.
Well, the Donis boys have run into the 7.0s before. They'd like to put a 6-second pass on for their final run. We've got a pair of dial-ins of a 7.80 and an 8.90. So if he runs a 6, he's going to break out and lose. But I think he'd like to see that 6-second pass come up. Watch for Stacey to lead first. Then Donis will have to chase him down. Stacey's out of the groove. The car nose is over. Donis also out of shape, and it's going to be a roll to the finishing line and a comfortable win for John Donis in the dragster.
Once again, they're both losing traction off the line and really struggling to get the power down there.
9.76, though, is good enough for the win.
Congratulations, John. You are the big winner of the night. You must be happy.
Yeah, pretty happy. The only problem is we didn't run a 6-second pass, but yeah, we were happy. We won. That's the main thing.
Well, that's what it's all about, winning and the prizes, huh?
Yeah, the winning's better than the prizes, but yeah, the money's good too. But yeah, it's good.
No way I would have come first, not the way the car was going, the way the track was and all. It's a pretty cold, dewy night. My car's very, twitchy when it comes to stuff like that. The track's got to be pretty good, although it was all right the Savo a bit, but tonight as the cold weather come in, it just got a bit worse and worse. But I've got a race car to go home with and something to play with during the winter, so that's good.
That's all we've got time for from round 3 of the BF Goodrich Drag Combat at the Awesome Quit Motorplex. Keep your eyes open, though, for round 4 of the championship, the final at Western Sydney International Dragway. On behalf of myself, Nathan Prendergast and Trent Nikolic, it's bye for now.